I have the permit right here. We followed every regulation.
The association rejects your interpretation. These rental slips are unauthorized and must be removed by Friday.
Cold air bit my face as I stepped onto the dock and saw flashing amber lights sliding over the water. Diesel fumes mixed with the sharp smell of wet rope. A barge thumped against my pilings. Men in neon vests hammered posts into the lake bed like it was a video game. On my pier, at 6:42 a.m., I yelled over the engine. The foreman didn't look up. Then she appeared in her quilted jacket, coffee steaming, sunglasses already judging me. Karen, the HOA president. She waved a clipboard like a badge and said, "This is common area now, so please move." My knees went hollow. The dock boards felt colder than the air. This is what she did. She got a vote with her friends at the board and called a contractor overnight. By sunrise, 6 shiny rental slips were taking shape where my fishing chairs used to sit. And that's the fight in plain words. HOA built 6. Rental slips on my dock. Then I pulled the 1974 deed. She smiled like a realtor ad and said, "Renters will love the sunsets here." I said, "This is my deeded dock." She said, "Then you can appeal at the next meeting, but construction is nonstop." Her laugh got lost in the hammering. My hands shook. I took photos. I took a long breath that tasted like diesel and lakeweed. I tried the polite door first. On May 3rd, 2024, at 6:30 p.m., I asked for 15 minutes at the clubhouse. I brought the original survey, yellow with age. Karen stared over my head like I wasn't tall enough to be heard. A board member checked his phone. Neighbors shifted in folding chairs and looked at their shoes. The minutes later said my time had expired. The next morning, I got a violation notice and an invoice for $3,800, labeled encroachment remediation. Then came the threats. Timeline item 1, April 5, at 4:27 a.m., false trespass call. I stood in pajamas explaining to a sleepy deputy that I was on my own dock. I kept my voice calm, but my chest burned. Here's a simple law line for you. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I recorded every second. I wasn't going to swing or shout. I was going to document and aim, so I drew my line in the sand and said it out loud to myself in the truck. I will use proper channels only. I started with the county assessor, parcel maps, riparian rights, mean high water marks. I hit the recorder's office and paid in cash for certified copies. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I filed a public records request for every HOA permit and complaint about our shoreline back to the 90s. When the clerk slid the folder across the counter, the file landed with 63 pages. Buried inside was a stamped letter from 2009 warning the HOA that docks here are lot-specific, not common. And then, under a scuffed divider, I found the prize. A warranty deed dated November 12, 1974, referencing my lot number and exclusive use of the pier to a fixed length and orientation. I held that paper like a newborn. My hands finally stopped shaking. I made 10 copies and 1 foam board blow-up. I set the trap with a smile. The HOA had its big summer splash on June 15th at 2:00 p.m. with food trucks and a band and a raffle. They wanted to unveil the new slips to renters. I sent 1 polite email to the board and 1 to the county lake inspector. Subject line, deed and permit status review. No drama, just facts. I also sent the harbor master a crisp packet with the 1974 deed and photos of the 6 slips bolted to my pilings. On June 14th at 7:15 a.m., the inspector replied, "See you tomorrow." I slept like a rock. At the party, with neighbors holding lemonade and kids bouncing beach balls, I wheeled out an easel by the water. On it, the foam board deed and a simple map with red arrows. Karen marched over in wedge sandals. She whispered, "This is harassment." I said, "No, this is a public record." Then a white SUV with county seals rolled in and stopped, so the sun flashed off the windshield like a spotlight. The inspector walked the line of slips with a clipboard and a tape measure. He asked for permits. Heads turned. Karen did that tight smile as if everything was under control. The harbor master checked the bolts on my pilings and pointed at the exact language on my foam board. Then came the twist. The inspector lifted the mic from the bandstand and announced for safety, "We are issuing a stop work order and a removal directive for unpermitted structures installed on a private easement." His helper taped the red notice to the corner piling. Neighbors started filming. Someone said I knew it. A dad laughed so hard he snorted root beer. Within an hour, the post with the HOA's banner "Rental Slips Now Open" came down like a wilted flag. Comments bloomed on our community page. "This is what happens when you skip permits." One said popcorn time. By sundown, the video of Karen's face when the red notice went up had 8,000 views. It hit the Lake Life subreddit. The top comment was, "Riparian Rights 101. Authority turned like the tide." On July 2nd at 9:00 a.m., the council hearing took 20 minutes. The board's lawyer tried to call it a misunderstanding. The clerk read the deed number. The harbor master explained the setback rules. The inspector added fines of $150 per day, starting the date of the first bolt. The deputy who woke me once at 4:27 a.m. nodded at me in the hallway and said, "Good job keeping records." The order required removal in 7 days and reimbursement of my costs. Karen's gavel hand shook during the emergency HOA meeting. 3 directors resigned that night. A neighbor who had been quiet stood up and said we were scared to speak, but not anymore. Peace returned like a soft tide. By July 8th at 8:12 a.m., the crew was back, this time to unbolt, not build. The barge hummed, but I smelled fresh coffee, not diesel rage. The slips left on truck beds, one by one, like carnival rides after the fair. The HOA cut me a check for $3,800 and paid my survey fee. Karen lost the presidency and got a formal censure in the minutes. Neighbors waved again. The lady next door set a pie on my porch with a note that said, "Sorry we were quiet." That night I sat on my dock with my feet in the water. A kid asked if he could fish at the end for a minute. I said, "Of course, just watch your step." He pulled up a bluegill and smiled like the lake was ours again. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below